Welcome everybody to the Geeked Out podcast. We are now running to our fifth episode.
You're gonna keep saying that every time. You're
Fifth
our
episode.
110th episode.
Hey, if we ever get that far, by then we'll have plenty of audience, ton of people watching.
We might have to do one like twice a week.
We're gonna be on Netflix pretty soon. That's what it is.
Nah, they're not gonna give brown people like us any.
No chance at all, huh? All right. So first topic that we had is just going over. All right, Colorado Anime Fest was this past weekend, and I got some highlights for y'all guys to see right now. Colorado Anime Fest was this past weekend, and it did not disappoint. 3 days of fun-filled anime celebration for anime fans of all ages. Located at the Denver Marriott Tech Center, this con had it all. Vendors and Artist Alley was packed full of merch for any collector. Maid cafe, anime bar, and panels for days. The video room was hopping, literally. Dance Dance Revolution, fighting games, and more. Cosplayers from all around showed up and showed out. From My Hero, Dragon Ball Z, Kaiju number 8, cosplayers came from all fandoms. The guest list was stacked. Getting autographs for some of your favorite voice actors was so easy. Seeing the host Karen Strange again this year was a must. And seeing the My Hero Academia voice acting panel with Rico, Caitlin and Sarah and Dawn was unforgettable. Make sure to follow and subscribe to BAM Collectibles for more updates on future local cons. Colorado Anime Fest, it was good stuff. All the future cons that'll be here in Colorado, I'm gonna try to go to as many as those to get some highlights on them.
Either that or at least advertise them so that everybody knows in advance.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Makers Fest is coming up in May, which is a different kind of convention. It's not a comic book
Creator Con.
Yeah.
And but we will say, as kind of like that for going to cons and stuff, one of the main kind of like hypes that I like about the cons is all the guest spots that goes in there.
The celebrities.
The celebrities.
That or depending on how big the con is, exclusives.
Yeah. And one of the things that both me, Santana, Cecil, we all love to do is get these Funko Pops signed. So we got some Funko Pops here that
Salt Lake
Santana
City
has.
Yeah, Salt Lake City Fanex. We got to meet Michael J. Fox, so we got that one signed.
Yeah.
I hung out with him for a while though. This was a cool dude because DMC from Run DMC was not behind his booth. He was actually out in the aisle. So he signed a few of these. I got some of his comic books signed because he does have a comic book publishing business. Some posters signed, but he signed it on the front. Shout out to Jam Master J on the side, on the wall on the top, and then he signed it on the other side. So he signed that thing 3 times. But anime.
Yep, those are like has to be like the number one stuff for Funko
cons
Pops
right now.
And
yeah,
cons, getting the anime stuff, anime voice actors signing stuff. That's where it's at now. Cause I mean, when you think about it, as far as value and what you have as tangible, it's kind of like what would you want to get signed by a voice actor or whoever guest you want to see. Is usually going to be a Funko Pop. I mean, if you get a picture or a frame or something, it's just gonna sit in your box, some kind of like box in the attic for forever.
Well, some of the people are actually really cool. It's very rare that you get a celebrity that's just a straight up jerk. And everybody that has attended enough cons already knows what celebrities to stay away from. Yep. There's always those dudes that are there for the money. They don't care about the fans. But like John Rhys Davies. His line was huge. I got up there, talked to him for a little bit, asked him a couple of questions. He answered the questions. Then he even did a little quote on the side from Lord of the Rings, "Don't tell the Elfins," when he gets tossed in the second movie to a little bridge. But no, I talked to him for a minute. Talked to him about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny and how come he wasn't in the movie more, because I liked him as a character. But he was about to get into it and then he stopped himself. So I don't know if something happened on the set he's not supposed to talk about, but the anime people are really cool too, though. Like, the lines are long. The lines are long. I'll say this: if you got the money, pay for the VIP pass because that's gonna save you a lot of time in line. But VIP or not, a lot of the celebrities will spend a little bit of time just to talk to you. So the lines do move slow because they want to treat everybody, regardless if it's a VIP pass or not, the same. So.
And speaking of cons, and as a kind of like a segue into anime, one of the things that I saw in recent events, I tried to kind of like keep up with it, but right now, what's been in the story now is what is it? So basically, I saw an article about Texas Senate passing the bill that might criminalize a bunch of anime and manga content. I kind of did my research on it and then to see things in general, but what you end up finding out is it's not necessarily an anime ban. If you actually read the article on it, so basically this is how it's kind of worded. So essentially this bill is actually pointed towards stopping artificial intelligence for making child pornography. So the whole ban of it in general is basically any kind of content that is created for child pornography in general. And that includes AI created stuff, cartoons, anime, don't matter what it is. It's just those.
I don't think they understand anime in foreign cultures.
Yeah,
though.
It's those yeah, exactly. But it's mostly those fictional things that kind of go on that verge of like morality when it comes to child pornography and that kind of view. One of the things that so it's not actually attacking anime itself, but more of like hentai and stuff that will depict children or people who look like children. So lolly characters count. So even if they say that they're of a certain age, if they look like a child, they count that as being child pornography.
Man, the only kind that I knew about was the tentacles.
Yeah. No, that's the thing about and what's so controversial about it is.
But see, this is what I don't get.
Yeah.
They're cartoon characters.
Yeah.
The cartoon characters don't always just look like older adults. Just like in real society.
Yeah.
How many of these girls that are out there that are underage look like they're adults, get let into clubs, and how many of these adults look like they're a lot younger?
Right. And that's the reason why I think with that distinction is I assume when they passing these laws through the Senate, is they're more directing it towards pornography and not necessarily just out context of something. So yeah, so if let's say hentai, if they had a child character being depicted with having sex.
What's considered a child character in there though?
Right.
Because to me, if it was like, if they look like an 8-year-old, yeah, that's disgusting. Yeah. But if they're a teenager, quote unquote, that's like 18, 19, 20, how are you to decipher it? Because it's a drawing.
Right. And that's why I mean they're only attacking it by the purpose of why they made it. So with that being said, anime that you do like Dragon Ball and Naruto and everything else that has like teenage characters that are kind of being depicted in some weird sexual way, they're not necessarily attacking those type of content.
Yeah, but they probably could because if you watch, I've seen
they could. They definitely could.
I've seen Dragon Ball, not Z, but Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Goku on numerous occasions as a little child, like an elementary school age child, is completely naked, where they show the genitalia and stuff like that, and you could tell that he's completely innocent because he walks in on Bulma and is wondering where her tail is at. He doesn't notice her female anatomy, but he noticed that she doesn't have a tail and brings it into question. Then there's like Studio Ghibli movies.
Yeah.
My Neighbor Totoro. There's a scene where the dad is bathing with his daughters.
Yeah.
Now that's completely normal in that context because they're a family and they're just bathing and stuff like that. There's nothing sexual going on, but they're nude.
Right.
I
think that's where I think that the wording of what they're trying to do is making it to where they're not impeding into those kind of categories where it's entertainment that's purposed for a different reason. It's not pornography. You even if
Western culture doesn't really understand Eastern culture altogether. That's why they didn't bring over a handful of Pokemon
Oh yeah.
episodes because they're like, well, the
And being
Western audience
sensitive.
isn't going to understand what's going on.
Right. But I mean, at that point too, it's still. I mean, it makes sense for that to happen still because of it being in context to our culture, and that's why I say like I mean, because there's regular TV shows like on Netflix and stuff that actually depicts teenagers having sex and stuff, but they're not trying to ban that because
look at American Pie movies.
Yeah, yeah,
they're supposed to be teenagers,
Yeah.
but they were. Case in point,
Yeah.
Nadia's character in the first American Pie movie.
Yeah.
She's a foreign, what is it? Foreign exchange student
in high school,
and she goes completely
she's
topless in the
movie.
thing. So you have she's an adult, but
Yep.
she's portraying an underage. She's portraying a minor and being
Right.
topless in it. So I'm like,
and the purpose of that movie though isn't pornography. The purpose of that movie was supposed to be comedy and making fun of that kind of context. So that's why I think that they're going to have a distinction between, oh, this is child pornography and this is actually like just entertainment.
But to me, that's the same though. Don't cast, even though they're an adult, don't cast them to portray a child. Technically, she is a child, then show her nude because that's just hypocrisy.
Right. That's what I mean by the purpose of it being that versus being called quote unquote pornography. Yeah. And I think they're going to just attack anything that is portrayed as being pornography and not necessarily like any kind of context out of any other anime that has like fan service. Because there's a lot of anime that has fan service with teenagers.
I remember
a ton of it.
I was like in some of the anime groups, I'm like, what is fan service? And then I was like, I didn't even have to look it up. It was just a couple of posts into one of my anime groups, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And that was years ago, and I'm like,
yeah, because I mean it is prominent in Japanese culture. Period. Not even just anime, but just Japanese film has fan service. It's just kind of.
Yeah, I mean that kind of brings me into another little subtopic. Man, he just passed away too. Not this last year, but the year before. He was supposed to be at New York City Comic Con, but he's a Korean dude. Have those big old pieces of paper up, and he would draw like straight up, no sketching or whatever. You know who I'm talking about?
Maybe.
He would just draw from memory and stuff like that, but he would put on shows, and then he was talking about how he draws like a lot of erotica. Well, drew a lot of erotica, and then his kids would ask him, it's like, hey, we want to draw, so he'd give him one of his sketchbooks that he had already drawn in. Sometimes there'd be nude pictures in there that he drew, and his son would always like, Dad, you're a pervert. Like. Yeah. I'm like, no, I think the perversion kind of, like you were saying, is it perverse to show the human body? Or are you trying to say it's perverse depending on what the human body is doing in certain acts?
Right. And that's why that's the questioning of what they will and will not ban based off of like, because when it comes down to it, it's all a perspective.
Yeah. Is the animation Playboy or is it Hustler?
Right.
There you got people are like, oh, Playboys are perfect. I was like, no. I was like, they're usually very tasteful photos where they don't necessarily reveal everything in a very explicit manner. It's almost like Titanic when he was like, paint me like you paint your French girls. She wasn't being sexually explicit in the pose. It was just a pose because she's a beautiful woman. And he's drawing her body because it's art. Yeah. Statue of David.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Hey, but they've actually done that before where they've banned like the statue. Remember that Simpsons episode?
That Simpsons episode, yeah, where they wanted to ban the Statue of David because they were against the violence on TV, and then they were going to have the field trip to the Springfield Museum to go and see the Statue of David, and they're like, it's pornography, and she was like, no, it's a work of art, like.
Yeah. So yeah, it's coming down to that cultural differences, and there's a lot of different, just different elements for that.
I think it actually really depends on who's judging the content,
right?
Because if somebody has loose morals, then they're not going to see anything wrong with explicit sexuality in the cartoon,
right?
If you have somebody that's a little bit too strict, then they're going to view it all as pornography. You kind of need somebody that's unbiased. This is artistic, but this is pushing it.
Right. Well, and that's going to be that problem, too, because it depends on who's in the Senate who's going to be doing that? Is it going to be, some light liberal politician, or is it going to be like
a hardcore conservative?
Yeah. So I meant it leading too
They're all
much to
closet
speculation.
weirdos.
yeah, I know, right? Politics and
How many of these dudes are like, you can't do this, and then you find out that they're PDA files
Right.
or having massive amounts of affairs on their significant other.
That whole judge of morality and,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So I'll say I'll leave this one as a comment section one because I kind of want to see what other people think. So anybody else who's watching and they got something to say, just throw it in the comment section so we can see.
Yeah,
what
I don't
y'all
care how out
opinion
of
is.
pocket it is.
Yeah.
Every opinion is pretty much valid on this topic at this point.
All right, so that's that one. As a next way into things, I want to kind of talk about Whatnot. We've been talking about it in the shows a little bit, on and off, trying to get into that rhythm of like showing y'all that hey, we're gonna be having things for sale. People who don't know what Whatnot, actually, I can let you explain that one if you want to. Explain to these people who don't know what Whatnot is, what Whatnot is.
It's kind of a broken up category for us right now. So Marcus, if you follow us on our Facebook page, Marcus, who's Rusted Blades, what is his tag on there? 9 Blades.
Yeah.
Just did his first Whatnot show on this past Monday. He doesn't have an audience. It was his first one. I told him to do a weekend one. Monday's not necessarily like the best day until you build your audience, but he got over it and just did the damn thing. So kudos for him for just getting out there and doing it.
There you go.
I got invited to sell on Whatnot. I haven't launched the show yet. Cedric had gotten invited a while back. He hasn't done a show yet. So we're all going to do our individual show. So it's basically like eBay Live, because eBay even started doing their live thing. So they're quick, short, fast auctions. If you like quick action, Whatnot is for you, because you can do like 5 seconds. You could do sudden death where nobody can bid it up and you just got to throw your money out there and get it. Every transaction is instant. So I put this up. I mean, this pop's worth a few $100. It's a San Diego Comic-Con pop, but if this thing sold for $100, it takes it out of your account. It is now yours, and I gotta ship it out to you.
Yeah,
but
it's that kind of what I like at least about Whatnot is the fact that the seller gets their money instantly. The buyer is guaranteed that all right, once this transaction goes through, this is coming to you.
Yeah.
So if you bid on it, immediately the second I bid on a Whatnot auction, my notification on my phone will pop up saying, "Oh, this just came out of your bank account." Because that's how easy it is.
Whatnot is great for deals. I've scored a handful of really good books. It's very rare that I've even paid market value for any of the books.
For anything on Whatnot, to be honest.
Well, I mean, Cedric had said it in a previous show. I posted a Hulk with the Wolverine claw cover, the McFarlane cover. He got it. I didn't check the inside of the book. It ended up being a Mark Jewelers. It was a newsstand Mark Jewelers, right? Yeah. So I got the newsstand Mark Jewelers. It was in rough condition. I didn't feel like having it cleaned or pressed. I just was like, nope, this will be a good book. We got it for next to nothing. We turned a profit on that sale. He got a good deal on it. He had it cleaned and pressed, sent it off to get graded. It came back a 5, which I was really surprised that it came back a 5. But after he showed me the work that they had done on it at Kapow before submitting it for him, they did an excellent job of cleaning the book and pressing it. So even at a 5, that book just looked beautiful in the in the slab.
And just at a 5, it was like $100 to $125 book, and I only put in like I think I put in like
$70 maybe.
Yeah, like maybe 70.
I think I thought you said it was worth a little bit more. I think you almost doubled up on the value of the.
It should have been doubled up. So yeah, if it was 70, then like 150, something like that.
I thought you said it was closer to 150, but
yeah.
But I mean, even if he doesn't sell it, it's still a nice book. But there's deals to be had on there.
Yeah.
From selling. Now, I have seen stuff that goes for more than market value just because the competition gets fierce and some of the well-known sellers just have like hundreds of people in their lobby bidding against stuff. So it's basically like an auction house. You're at an auction house, but online video, you get to see the stuff, and then it's just quick action.
Yeah.
It's a good way to get rid of extra inventory if you don't want stuff that you're just... you could sell it on your own and make more money than you would taking it to a shop, or you might make more money.
Cash and be done with it. especially stuff that you had low investment in the first place. You just got too much. So that's why I love One Piece cards, and I got a ton of One Piece cards, and I'll just try and play with them and stuff. So one of the whatnot sales I'm gonna be doing is once I get into there, is gonna be doing One Piece cards, stuff that's actually pretty good, and that I didn't put almost nothing into it, and then I'm gonna just give it away, and I make cash on the side.
One Piece, the Pokemon cards, comics.
Yep.
I know there's people that even sell the Funkos on there. I don't know if I'd want to go off to the point where I'm selling Funkos on there.
Yeah, Funkos is kind of a higher investment when a lot of the stuff, and then the shipping and stuff kind of gets a little,
yeah,
kind of messy.
But Cedric and I know some of you might be some of our former customers, so we were hosting our whatnot for the Iron Lion for a while there, slowly building that audience up. But then branching out to do our own is a whole different thing, because we're not going to go in there and try to steal the Iron Lion's clientele. Even though we do go into the shows periodically, I don't go in as much because I'm very aloof.
Yeah.
Friday night will come and I'll be like, hey guys, the live sale's on if you guys are going to go and check it out. Then I end up getting busy cooking or doing something else. Yeah. And then they're like, oh yeah, Hector showed this, blah, 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 and this is what it sold for. And I'm like, damn, I was like, man, I should have went into the show because I could have bought that thing and flipped it.
Yep. But yeah, so that's about the key thing to whatnot. So just make sure y'all guys follow us, and make sure that whenever we make those posts for whatnot, that y'all go in there and then follow those whatnot shows. So that's with that for whatnot. Next is comic book news. So there's a lot been going on for the past 3 or 4 months with Diamond, with them going bankrupt. Diamond in itself is a huge deal when it comes to comic books. For people who don't know, Diamond is a publishing distributor. All the way from not just comic books, actual bound books.
You could get Funkos, Hot Wheels. They had their brand of Diamond Select toys. So if you ever seen the Marvel Legend type figures at a comic book store that are come in the big boxes, and I have one too. I think it's down in the basement, but I have Jack Skellington, Nightmare Before Christmas ones. But they say Diamond Select toys. Those are from Diamond, and usually you only get those at comic book retailers because they have a Diamond account.
Yep.
But I mean plushies, manga. I think they were even doing TCG now. Graphic novels was a big one too.
Yeah.
Graphic novels in the manga was
manga. It's really hard to find manga, and that was one of the things when we was in the comic book shop was trying to order manga, and it was always basically through Diamond was the majority of it.
Yeah.
So Diamond going bankrupt is a pretty big hit to the comic book community.
It is and it isn't. Depends on what your perspective is. So I'll give you my opinion on it. When I found out that Diamond was filing for bankruptcy, I laughed.
Yeah. Knew it was going to happen.
I'm not a fan of Diamond.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows me knows I'm not a fan of Diamond. I wasn't a fan of Diamond once I started working at the Iron Lion in the comic book department, because the bulk of their product always comes in so heavily damaged, and the return process was becoming a pain in the butt, to the point where I think that was one of the issues that they were having too, is maybe with that and taking losses.
Well, I'll just say, so some of the main issues that what I've read about Diamond, or not just read, but literally seen as we was ordering, Diamond not keeping up with invoices, sending them out in the wrong time, comic book shops not paying those invoices because they're not sending them out like they're supposed to, orders getting in damaged, and there was almost no way to do any kind of returns, and then the consistent amount of ordering something and not knowing when it's going to come in, or even if it actually went through in the first place.
Yeah, well, they weren't even included in the last few months before the last few months that I was working at the Iron Line. I was getting messed up with the Diamond comics, and people were starting to complain about their books coming in, because they would the books sometimes would literally arrive the day of or the day after the release. So then I have to process them, put them into the system for that shipment, and then I don't have time. And then they're like, oh, hey, we want to know where Terminator number 3 is. I thought it was supposed to be out today. Well, guess what? It's at the warehouse because it only got to the shop, and I got to put it into the system at the warehouse.
Yep, see? And that's that whole big deal. So
if there was even an invoice, though, because sometimes there wasn't invoices, and I'm sometimes trying to figure out what box this shipment goes to, and then I have random shipments just sitting there because I can't receive them because I either am missing part of the shipment, or there's no invoice and I got to figure out which shipment it's from, because I have to download the invoice and put everything in together. And if only a partial shipment comes, I can't upload the invoice without saying, hey, I didn't get the rest of it. And then that other stuff comes in, and I've already received the invoice. So Diamond was, for lack of a better word, Diamond was just being lazy, and it was getting worse and worse and worse as the months progressed. So they were completely disorganized as a business, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. And so with that being up, with the issue with Diamond being bankrupt, in recent news, in the past few days, Diamond actually went up for auction to see if anybody basically would buy out Diamond to actually save this distribution company that's a big influence on the comic book community. So there was big names, like there was a few comic book shops that tried to gather together. There talks about Todd McFarlane actually trying to get into that. But the ultimate winner of this auction basically was Allegiance, which was already
Alliance Entertainment.
Alliance Entertainment. They already kind of had a contract with them.
Yeah, they were one of their partners.
Yeah,
in some way.
So they basically bought them out. And when recent news, Santana he already has the article up.
So and I've already read some of the stuff. So tomorrow the court is supposed to approve it, which it should go through. There shouldn't be any reason why they don't approve the purchase, because I know Diamond initially was trying to sell off some of their subsidiaries.
Yeah.
Subsidiaries to get the money to stay afloat, but they were hoping somebody was going to pick them up, because I was reading random different articles, and so over the course of the month it was like, oh, are they going to go away? Somebody going to pick them up? What's the deal? So this last one was a last-ditch effort for them to get picked up, so they did that auction that Cedric was talking about. Alliance Entertainment put in a winning bid. They were selected. The court deal will be tomorrow, but there's still a lot of things up in limbo in regards to it. So one of the ones that I had read about was Antarctic Press. So if you've been collecting comic books for as long as I have, you know Antarctic Press is an indie company that's been around, I think, since the 80s. Yeah. Lunar and Penguin don't have as many smaller indie publishers that they're distributing. That's usually like the bigger IDW and stuff
Image.
like that. Image. So those are the bigger ones. They're not hurting, but Diamond was the main outlet for a lot of smaller publishers. Antarctic Press and like Scout Comics and I think Distillery. I don't think anybody else puts out Distillery and stuff like that.
And I think Aftershock was supposed to be trying to get in. Went bankrupt a while back, but they was trying to actually get back into being stable to be a good publishing company again. And now this is
well, the same thing with Antarctic Press. They're doing. I think it was Antarctic Press that they were. It was either Antarctic Press. No, it was actually another one. I don't know if it was in this article, but Antarctic Press is owed money from Diamond.
Yeah.
So another one was saying that they were owed money from Diamond, and the money was coming in regularly. But Antarctic Press already knew something was up last year, because they said that they were regularly getting payments from Diamond, and then the payments weren't coming in when they were supposed to, so they started to think that they were having financial issues.
Right.
So over a year ago, I think Antarctic Press started reaching out to Lunar and Penguin to see if they can get distribution to them, but they were never getting a response. They were saying there was something like 93, I think it was, or 90-something indie publishers that might not have a home if Diamond goes under, and they're still not sure what's going to happen with the restructure with these new people.
Because even if they buy them out, they still could be like,
nah, we're not going to
we're not dealing with this. We cutting this out, we cutting that out, and then there's going to be a lot of indie publishers that just won't have a place to go anymore.
Yeah, because you go into a comic book shop, the main thing you're going to see is DC, Marvel. You're going to see IDW, Boom, Image. I'm trying to think, Dynamite.
Yeah.
Those are the bigger of the indie books, but I like Antarctic Press. I like a lot of the older stuff that they put out in the 80s. I don't know if they're still putting them out. But when we go to order for the FOC dates, you don't really see a whole lot from Antarctic Press. Yeah. So they're usually doing more of the collected works and stuff like that. Yeah. So, if you're a fan of that stuff and you're going to go into a comic book store to look for it and they don't have distribution, now you're going to actually have to go to the website to order the stuff. So that's what Brian Polito did. So if I know there's probably a lot of fans out there that are fan of Coffin Comics, which is the home to Lady Death and Brian Pulido. So Brian Pulido, in the article that I had read, pulled away and was offering distribution straight from his own website.
Yeah.
Wholesale, direct. So if we have a comic book shop, we could just set up an account direct from him and just get the stuff. And he was just selling direct to the comic books, comic fans. So, I mean, it's smart thinking.
Yeah.
But at the same time, are you really just going to go to a random website to order one title, or you're going to go to your comic book shop and be like, hey, can you guys get this book?
Right.
But then they have to get an account with
with
Coffin now. So you still have Diamond, then you have Lunar, then you got Penguin. Now if all of these indie companies just start doing their own thing, it's going to become a headache to order books. So I understand the convenience of Diamond, but at the same time, I think Diamond was too big, and they weren't handling business properly. Like, if you order $1,000 worth of comic books from me, okay, well, I'm just going to debit your account, get my money, you get your books. But they were doing stupid CODs.
Yeah.
So
that's what's been going on right now with that. Once other stuff progress, we probably bring the subject up again. But for now, that's what we have for that. Right now, that's about it. What we got. So I think we're ready to wrap stuff up and then see how things go.
Go handle our meeting.
Yeah.
We'll be discussing some stuff here soon. As soon as we're okay to talk about our
future plans.
Yeah, our future plans in the comic book business. So,
all right.
Until next time, same BAM channel,
same BAM place.
Yep.